Welcome. Tonight we open a volume from the year 1858 to give voice to a classic tale, a story of magic, perception, and the curious alchemy of the human heart. This is Riquet with the Tuft. Our story, as is so often the case, begins with a series of fateful births. Here we find a fairy, a dispenser of gifts that prove to be both blessing and curse. Let us now meet the central figures of this curious narrative. Once upon a time, there was a queen who was brought to bed of a son, so ugly and so ill-shaped that it was for some time doubtful if he even possessed a human form. But a fairy, present at his birth, affirmed that he would not fail to be amiable, for he would have a great deal of good sense. And in this peculiar promise lies the very seed of our story. You see, the fairy's gift was not for the prince alone, but a power he could bestow upon another. A strange power that would, in time, shape his entire destiny. Some years on, the queen of a neighboring kingdom gave birth to two daughters. The first, a marvel of beauty, yet the attending fairy declared she would be as stupid as she was beautiful. The second, born extremely ugly, was given a compensation. She would have so much sense that her lack of beauty would scarcely be perceived at all. And so it came to be. As the princesses grew, it was the younger who bore away the palm from her sister in every society. People would first gather to admire the beauty of the elder, but they would soon leave her for the company of the wittiest. The beautiful princess, well, she could not help but notice this, and was soon ready to die of grief. In her despair, the beautiful princess retreats into a wood to bewail her misfortune, and it is there that she has an encounter that will irrevocably alter the course of her life. She is met by a little man of most disagreeable appearance, but dressed quite magnificently. It is, of course, the young Prince Riquet with the tuft. After he pays her a compliment, she confesses her deepest sorrow, speaking the very words you see before you. In response, Riquet makes his startling offer. "I have the power, madam," he says, "to give as much wit as anyone can possess to the person I love the most. And as you, madam, are that person, it will depend entirely upon yourself, provided that you are willing to marry me." He offers her a full year to make up her mind. But the princess, who had so little sense and at the same time was so very anxious to have a great deal, thought the end of that year would never arrive. She accepted his proposal at once. And the moment the promise leaves her lips, the fairy's enchantment takes hold, transforming her in an instant. She found she possessed an incredible facility of saying anything she wished, and of saying it in a shrewd, yet easy and natural manner. She commenced, on the instant, a sprightly and brilliant conversation with Riquet, who began to believe he had given her more wit than he had kept for himself. Upon her return to the palace, the whole court was in a state of joy which is not to be conceived. The king himself was now led by her advice, and young princes from every kingdom sought her hand. But now, with her new mind, she found none of them sufficiently intelligent. A year passes. The princess, now contemplating a suitor she finally fancies, wanders by chance into the very same wood. And there, a promise long forgotten by her newly sharpened mind awaits its fulfillment. Listening more attentively, she could hear voices from below, hushed but hurried. "Bring me that saucepan," one would cry. Another, "Give me that kettle." And a third, "Put some wood on the fire." And at that very moment, the ground opened. Beneath her, she saw a large kitchen bustling with cooks preparing a magnificent banquet. When the head of the troop delivered his shocking reply, the memory came flooding back. The princess suddenly recalled that it was exactly a 12-month from the very day she had promised to marry the prince. She had not taken 30 more steps when he appeared before her, Riquet with the tuft, gaily and magnificently attired, like a prince about to be married, ready to make his claim. "I confess to you, frankly," she replied, "that I have not yet made up my mind." She argues that the very sense he has given her, which makes her so much more difficult to please, now prevents her from accepting a resolution she made when, in her own words, she was a fool. A brilliant debate follows, but Riquet has one final astonishing card to play. He reveals the second half of the fairy's gift, the part that belongs to her. He explains that she holds a reciprocal power, The very same fairy he reveals gave her the ability to render handsome the man she should love, and on whom she was desirous to bestow that favor. And without a moment's hesitation, her wish is spoken. Immediately, Riquet with the Tuft appeared to her eyes as the handsomest, the best made, and most amiable man she had ever seen. And here, the story offers us a fascinating alternative, a more psychological reading of events. Some say the princess, having reflected on his perseverance and the good qualities of his heart and mind, simply no longer saw his deformity. Through this new lens of affection, his great limp became nothing more than a certain lounging air, which charmed her. His squinting eyes, they now seemed only more brilliant, signs of a piercing wit. And his great red nose, well, it took on something martial, something heroic. However it may be, the princess promised on the spot to marry him. The king consented, and the wedding took place the very next morning, leaving us, the readers, to ponder the true source of the incredible change she had witnessed. And so the tale ends not with a definitive answer, but with this elegant final couplet, a reflection on a power that is, perhaps, more potent than any fairy spell, the transformative magic of love itself.